Hi, I'm Stephen Screen, and one of the things that I do is help nonprofits raise money in times of crisis. And the dominant story right now is the crisis caused by COVID-19 and the coronavirus. And if your organization or your cause or your beneficiaries is being negatively affected, if you're being harmed by what's happening with the coronavirus or the economic impacts of it, this is a story you should be sharing with your donors, because donors love to fund current, acute needs faced by the organizations and beneficiaries they care about. So if you are in that situation, you should be sending out an emergency e-appeal. You should be sharing this story with your donors. So here's what I've done. I put together a really easy e-appeal outline for organizations that are in this situation, COVID-19, coronavirus. If you need help, if you want to send out an emergency appeal, let me give you an outline. Now, before I get to the outline, I want to show you what not to do. This is what we are not doing here. Here's the standard nonprofit email. We have a lovely header with several happy people up top. We've got massive amounts of copy. We've got a wall of text here. And then down here at the bottom, we've got sign up for our newsletter, which is actively taking people away from the thing you've been trying to convince people to do in the rest of your email. Here's the thing. Right now, because of the crisis, your donor's attention is less on you than it normally is. That means your email open rates, say they might be 25%, they're going to be 20%. Say your normal donor gives you 5 or 10 seconds as they read or scan your email. Right now, because they're moving fast, they are going to give you 3 or maybe 5 seconds. Your donors are moving fast. What does that mean for you? Because your cause, your beneficiaries are important. It means you need to do a better job of getting to the point fast and simplifying what's going on. So instead of sending out something that looks like that, you want to be sending out something that looks like this. Really easy to understand. And just take a look at this. Do you want to read that? It doesn't even look friendly. And when you send out something like that, what happens is a ton of abandonment. Your donors just abandon it because it looks hard to read. And here is something that more donors are going to read more of. And here's the secret. Here's why I'm saying this. If you get more people to read your fundraising, more people will give to your fundraising. It's that simple. So you want to send out something that looks like this. So I'm going to give you 8 points, an outline that's 8 points long for your email. And it's really going to be this simple. It's going to look like that. And then I'm going to read for you an example of an email that I worked on just this morning for an organization. So here's the outline, and I'm going to give you an example for every single one of these. But number one and first, we want to state that the message is urgent. So you want to be telling your donor in your very first sentence that this is an urgent message, or I don't normally share concerns with you like this, or right? You get the point. You want to say right away that this is an urgent, important message. No throat clearing, no talking about the weather, just get straight to the point. Second, you want to describe how the situation is hurting your beneficiaries, your cause, or your organization. Here are just a couple of examples. If you're a hospital and you're overwhelmed by patients, you want to talk about how your hospital is overwhelmed by patients. There are more patients than you have rooms. Or say you're an organization that helps get kids meals at school, and school has been canceled. So then you want to talk about how school has been canceled and you're not sure how all those kids who normally get fed at school are going to have enough to eat. A really simple explanation of how the situation is hurting them. Next, number 3, you want to ask for a special gift to help. This is a clear, concise, direct ask for the donor to give a gift today to help solve the problem that you have just presented up here. This is something like, please send in a gift today to help us at the hospital treat the patients really well. That wasn't the best copy, but you get the point. Please send in a gift today so that we can make sure every child who needs it gets a healthy, nutritious lunch. You with me? Okay, great. Number 4, a very short story to illustrate the need. So going off of the couple of examples that I have spun up here, you want to talk about a boy named Jacob whose family is underprivileged, and he usually gets 2 meals every day at school. and you want to talk about what it's like for his family right now, whose work may have been cut back, income is cut back, and it's harder than ever to provide enough food for Jacob. What is a young boy going to do, and what is it like for an 8-year-old to not have enough to eat? Very short story, but there we go. We have illustrated the need for the donor to make a gift today, not in the future, not a week from now, today. Next, we want to show how the gift perfectly meets the need. So what you want to do is you want to state to your donor that that their gift will perfectly meet the need. Something like, your gift today will feed a boy like Jacob. Your gift today will help us treat the extra patients that are at the hospital. Right? Not, please partner with us, or please be a supporter of our organization during this difficult time. Nope. You want to say that their gift is going to do exactly the thing that you just described that needs to be done. Then, down here, you want to be really clear that this is not the only need. So, again, in the examples that we're talking about, Jacob is just one of 200 boys in our school district who need help. Or maybe you had told a story about a patient who is in a hallway. You would want to say, Bob is not the only patient in our hallways. There are 17 down hallway on the 7th floor, right? You get the point. Make it clear that this is not the only need. Then finally, talk about how it's not in the budget. No one expected this whole crisis to come, so share that with donors. Say, our budgets are tight and we did not have extra budget to figure out how to feed 200 kids for the month that they are going to be off school. Just say that you did not plan to do this, because it's true, nobody was planning on this type of pandemic this year. Then finally, ask your donor to send in an emergency gift right now. Be really clear again. Say, please send in a gift today to help kids like Jacob get the food that they need. Okay, so there's the 8-point outline. I'd like to read to you an email that is, it just went out to the donors of this organization that I worked on this morning. You'll see all of this happen. You'll basically have another example, and you'll see how fast it happens. Here we go. Hi, Stephen. I don't normally send you emails like this, but these are desperate times. I just did that. The coronavirus is already hurting moms and kids on the edge of homelessness by devastating their incomes. Did it. Will you please make an urgent gift of $33 to provide emergency housing assistance? Did it. Now, I just want to be really clear with folks. Most donors aren't going to read past right here. And so I have done everything I need to do to get a gift from a lot of people. Now, some people will keep reading, so we'll keep going. This is why fundraising writing is so hard, by the way. You've got to write it to work for the scanners, and you've got to write it to work for the readers. So let's listen to see how this email keeps going. Here's what's going on. I just got off the phone from speaking with a worried mom named Angie. Angie waits tables at a local restaurant 37 hours per week. She was just cut back to only 3 hours per week for the foreseeable future. The virus is forcing Angie and her 2 kids into homelessness. How can Angie pay for rent, food, and daycare now that schools are canceled while working just 3 hours a week? She can't, but you can help her. See how I just used a very short story to illustrate the need for funds today. Okay, next, your gift will provide emergency housing assistance to a mom like Angie who is unable to pay her rent. You'll save her and her kids from being homeless. So, see how I just described that the gift today will perfectly meet the need that I illustrated a moment ago. Okay, number 6. Just this week, I've already gotten more phone calls from worried moms like Angie. Their jobs are at risk. Kids are out of school and daycare is unaffordable. Plus, it's still cold and wet outside. This is no time to be homeless. So I just illustrated that Angie is not the only person in need right now. Next, there are no extra funds in our budget to meet this unexpected need, but your gift today will provide instant relief and safety. Right there. And then finally, your action is needed now. Please make your gift to provide emergency housing assistance with urgency. You'll help keep a mom and her kids off the street for one day, and every day counts right now. And then at the bottom and at the top, we've got a button that says, My urgent gift to provide emergency housing assistance. Okay, you've got your email written. Now, I want you to look at it again with a couple things in mind. Okay? Number one, do not over-explain. Your donor has a story in her head about the coronavirus and all of the bad things that it means. You are tapping into that story as you tell this story. You don't have to over-explain. Here's what I mean by this. You want your email to be 300 words or less. This email right here that I showed you, 262 words. If you're getting over 300 words, you are over-explaining, and you don't want to do that. You just need to get to the point really fast. Next, you want to keep your writing short, urgent, and to the point. Short sentences, short paragraphs. Make it really, really easy to read. Again, we're trying to avoid over-explaining. We're trying to avoid long paragraphs. We're trying to avoid long, complex sentences. Remember, all of those pieces of advice that I just gave you are ways to keep more people reading. And the more people that read your fundraising, the more people are likely to give to your fundraising. So make it look, feel, and sound short and urgent. And so finally, the look that I just mentioned. Notice the red bars at the top and bottom of this. Do something like that. Don't do your classic header. Make it look urgent. Okay, now you've got your email. You need to also think about your subject line. Let me give you 2 ideas to put into your subject line. Number 1, I'd be mentioning COVID-19 and or the coronavirus. Number 2, I would be mentioning urgency, emergency, that type of stuff. The subject line is really, really important for whether people open up your email or not. So you want to be overly urgent and overly dramatic. The subject line that we used for this email went like this: coronavirus consequence, emergency funds needed. So coronavirus consequence, emergency funds needed. You are welcome, by the way, to steal that subject line or slightly modify it, but something like that. Make sure that it makes a lot of sense. And finally, send this out as fast as you can, as urgently as you can, and if it works, send it out multiple times. Remember, fewer of your donors are going to be opening your emails in the next handful of weeks. So you may need to send this out a couple of times to get a majority of your email file the chance to see it. And if it works, and your open rate was 20%, that means that it's likely to work for the other 80% of folks who have not seen it yet. So be comfortable sending it out again, or slightly rewrite it and send it out again. But if it's working, put that message in front of your donors again, because it means your donors like it. Okay, I really encourage you, if your organization, beneficiaries, or cause are harmed by the current situation, I really encourage you to send out something just like this. And if you'd like me to review it, go to freereviewfridays.com. That's freereviewfridays.com. Every Friday I get online and I do live reviews of fundraising for about an hour, where I take pieces of fundraising that have been submitted and I sort of pull them apart. I talk about the assumptions that are being made to create the fundraising. I talk about the choices that are made to create the fundraising. And then I try to put it back together, helping organizations raise more money. And it's free. The next couple of weeks, or maybe as long as this thing goes on, I'm going to be focusing on coronavirus, COVID-19, economic situation fundraising. So if you create something like that and you want me to review it, go to freereviewfridays.com and submit it, and I will get to as many of them as possible this Friday and in the coming Fridays. Because listen, the environment is going to be tough the next few weeks, probably the next few months. We, as an amazing sector, are going to get through this when we share our knowledge, when we share the good ideas that we come across, when we do the things that we know that make direct response fundraising work. And that's what I'm trying to do on Free Review Fridays, to help as many people as possible raise as much money as possible during what can be a daunting time. All right, thank you very much for watching. I encourage you to do something like this if you're in the situation where it makes sense to do so, and good luck out there.